Hi y'all, it's Raven, also known as GeGe, and I am coming on to do my golden gossip. Um, for those of you guys that do not know me, this is just a quick little disclaimer. I've been struggling with consistency. If you do know me, then you probably can see that because it's like I'm on social media and then I'm off, and then I'm on and then I'm off. And so for me, it's been a number of things. For one, it's like kind of getting discouraged, if I can be completely honest. Like, I'll get discouraged from the lack of engagement, but then I remember everything that is good takes time. Like, everything that is great takes time, especially if it's a God thing. And also, a wise friend just told me, like, you kind of just have to put it out there and not care what the response is. And so with that, I was like, you're right, because ultimately I'm doing this to be of service, and even if I'm not reaching millions yet, I'm reaching someone and it's helping. And so another thing of it is I get bored really easily. So if you've ever come to my house, again, if you know me, I change my living room furniture and like my bedroom and stuff around probably more than a normal person. Like, I know I've changed my living room around probably like 4 or 5 times in the past 2 months. Like, I gotta get couch covers, just whatever. And so I was thinking of a way to keep this entertaining for me so that I would want to be more consistent with it. And I came up with this idea because I love Chinese food. It's my favorite food ever. And I love fortune cookies, but I don't eat the cookie. I just like to read the fortune. And it's like ritual. Whoever I'm eating Chinese food with, I want you to read your fortune, and I'm gonna read mine out loud, and we're gonna share it and see, first of all, if it resonates or what's going on. And most of the time, you'll be really surprised that it does, or it provides encouragement about something that you just need in that moment. So I said all that to say, that is something I'm gonna be incorporating, because over these years, you know, I save fortune cookie, like the fortunes from them, if they are things that touch me. And so at the end of every one of my golden gossips, I'm going to do a fortune for the week, like a fortune of the week. And so I'm excited about that. And I feel like, again, I'm gonna just post these every Monday, and that'll allow me to be consistent, because it's just picking one day out of the week and I'm gonna put myself out there. And so let's start with the golden gossip. One of the biggest lessons that I learned over these past like 4 weeks has been a lesson of worthiness. And I know we talk about worth all the time, because worth is just like, you know, oh, well, I'm worth this, I'm all that, I'm this and that. But oftentimes, for me anyways, I can only speak from my own experience, like, I don't act like what I know I'm worth. And so do I really know that I'm worth that if I'm not moving as if I'm worth that? And what I mean by that is, like, if I know I'm worth all of these things and I'm bringing all this to the table, like for myself, I own a business. I own 3 businesses. I wrote a book. I am an excellent mother. I am literally a person that's going to give you the shirt off of my back. If I have it, I'm going to give it to you. That's who I am as a person. I'm loyal. I'm respectful. Like, I know all of these things about myself. But I also know, you know, my negative attributes or whatever. Anyways, I say all that to say, I know all of those things about myself, but so many times I'm moving in humbleness or in humility, which is not true. To be humble, you want to be humble in the presence of God, not in the presence of men. But we'll get into that in a second. But I'm moving from a space of humbleness to the point where I'm dimming my own light to be in certain rooms with certain people, or to not make somebody else feel bad, or to not appear like I'm doing this and that. And it's just like, what is that doing for me? So in my own life, that has gotten me into so many situations and relationships and connections where I was constantly lowering my self-worth and tolerating and dealing with other things for the sake of being humble and not wanting to feel like I'm being rude to somebody, or, excuse my language, shitting on somebody. But it's not shitting on somebody or being rude to know, hey, these are things that I'm accomplishing. I went through hell and back to get to this space in my life. So why in this room, to be around this person or that person, should I start dimming my light? Is that moving like what I know I'm worth? Am I telling God that I'm worth what I know I'm worth? Or am I diminishing myself and acting like I have no self-worth? And so It sounds super simple on paper, well, at least to me. Like when I hear it, oh, move like you're worth it, it sounds super easy. But when you're putting it into practice, it's not. Because let's face it, as humans, especially if you suffer from any type of trauma, like for me, I suffer from abandonment wounds. So what that looks like is I have a really hard time detaching. I can get attached super easy. I can walk into a grocery store, hear somebody's traumatic story, and I'm attached to the outcome of this person's story that I've only talked to for the past 30 minutes. I'm attached to it to the point where I might take your number down. Then I'm gonna sit and think about it. I still think about a woman that I met at a river, I think maybe 5 or 6 years ago, that was in a domestic violence situation, and she was camping out at this river in the middle of nowhere, and there was about to be a flood. I literally can still think of our exact interaction, and I wonder where she's at. I'm not gonna say I think about her all the time, but I can still vividly go back to the day and remember that. So what I'm saying is, because of my abandonment, I have attachment issues. I can attach to somebody super quick, but I detach extremely hard. And so what that means is, if I've already been in a situation where I kind of dimmed my light to be around this person, and I kind of minimized my self-worth and moved and navigated in a way that wasn't in alignment with who I am as a person, but now I'm attached to them, and now I'm attached to this person that I've embodied for them, this attribute of myself that wants to be of service to them. And so now I'm walking around dimming my light every time I interact with this person, and I'm afraid to let them go because I have abandonment wounds that are causing me to be attached to the spirit. And so it's super important to become aware of yourself. First of all, like, this is how you put self-worth into practice. Become aware of yourself. You have to become aware of, what are my trauma wounds? Who am I in the world of trauma? You have to know that, because you're going to notice that you are able to identify patterns where you're operating from your trauma and not from your healed self. First step. Second step, knowing how to respond to those trauma wounds. So boom, I know I have an issue with attachment. I have an issue with attaching and detaching, because I shouldn't be attaching to anyone like that in the first place. Like, let's just talk about how unhealthy that is. It's okay to be of service, but to be attached to somebody's story that 10, 12 years could go by, you still thinking about this person and wondering if they're okay. Yes, I'm an empath, all that good jazz, but it's still like, you still have to have boundaries with yourself. So first of all, I know that I have the issues with attachment, and I know that I have issues with detachment. So boom, I've identified that. Now it's discovering how those patterns are affecting my daily life, and then creating steps to minimize the effects that they have. So since I know I have an issue with attaching, something that I've been putting into practice is paying attention to why I am interacting with certain people, or why am I thinking about certain things. So that looks like, boom, I'm hanging out with this person. I might have been attracted to them. Is that why I'm hanging out with them? Is that why I'm attached to their story? Or boom, that lady that I saw at the river, why was I attached to her story? Oh, because she's going through domestic violence, you know, that's something that's of my past. Also, I'm just a person that's like, she's really experiencing something. But why am I carrying this with me? Why do I feel obliged to take on her burdens? So it's really important to dig into your whys, understanding why you're moving certain ways. All of this, again, goes back into self-worth, because you will find that most times you use other people's problems to distract you from your own. I'll say it again. Most times we are using other people's problems to distract us from our own. So while I am being a good person, and while I am being empathetic, and while I am doing this, if I'm picking up all of these projects of X, Y, and Z, I'm thinking that I'm earning my rights into heaven and into all of this good karma because I'm not helping all of these people. But meanwhile, my self-worth is being neglected. And again, am I really loving myself if I'm giving all that I have and extending all that I have into all of these other places and not focusing in on what I need to be doing for me? Where is it coming from? So explore your whys. And then the last thing is, when you discover all of these things, because knowledge is knowledge. Until it is applied, it is not wisdom. We can read and learn everything in the entire planet, but if you learn all of these things, go through all of these processes, do all of this work, but you don't apply anything, and I mean do all of this work as in researching it and studying it, because it's really hard, to be honest with you. It is so hard to sit and look at yourself. I'm trying to tell you, I can look at anybody else in the world. I can sit on the phone with a stranger, a friend of mine, anybody. I could sit and listen to them, and I could break down their whole life and what they should do and how they should do it. Ooh, excuse me, I have hiccups out of nowhere. But I could do that all day. The second that I gotta sit and look at myself, it just leads to like a self-attack. It's like, oh, why would you do that? You should have known better. But you ain't telling these people that. So again, it's hard to look at yourself, but it's super essential. When you do this, don't just look at yourself and then start punching her down. Don't be like, dang, you should have known better. You was doing this. No, look at yourself, become aware of that pattern, understand that you did it, cool, whatever. Now, apply the wisdom that you gained. Now you know that this is your pattern. Now you know why you're doing certain things. So now we're going to apply the knowledge that we gained, then turning it into wisdom, and then you will move into spaces where you are more in alignment with your self-worth, seeing yourself through the eyes that God wants you to see yourself through. Seeing yourself through God's eyes, his vantage point, not your own or hers, or however you associate with God. But the point of it is, the whole point of what I'm trying to say is being able to see yourself and through the lens that you're supposed to see yourself through. Not minimizing yourself, not dimming your light, not moving with a false sense of self-worth. No, knowing what you are worth and standing in that. And so again, this has been a lesson I've been going through for the past 4 weeks. And I'm telling you, I prayed to step into my self-worth. And as most of y'all know, and if you don't, let me let you in on a little secret. When you pray for something, you don't get that thing. God doesn't just like, here you go, there's self-worth. No, you're going to be put into situations where your self-worth is tested, and you're going to have to show up for yourself. So for the past 4 weeks, that is where I have been. And so that be the other thing of being consistent for me. And this is just kind of all over the place, but me just putting myself out there to be vulnerable and let these messages be what they are. I personally always am going through some kind of spiritual test. I feel like I am a frontier, like I am a warrior on the front line for spiritual tests and issues and things like that. And I'm blessed and I'm grateful, but to whom much is given, much is required. And so a lot of times it'd be hard to stay consistent because I'm waking up and from the gate, I'm having a fight. Like I'm legit going through all these things. So anyways, whatever. Past 4 or 5 weeks, that has been my biggest lesson. And really when I look at it, kind of been my whole life, but I wasn't really too focused on self-worth. I was so busy building everybody else up. And yes, working on myself through school and blah, 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 like all the exterior things. But this past 1.5 years, I've gotten really serious with my interior design. And so I'm like, I'm blessed and grateful to be able to share this now. And it's time for us to honor our self-worth. Know that you are worthy of boundaries, know that you are worthy of love, and know that you are worthy of being in connection, with connection, and truly intertwined in connections that understand you. You want to be in connection with yourself, and you want to be in connection with others that see yourself for your true self, not people that are seeing you for what you're worth to them. And so that's just the biggest thing of it. And I'm blessed and grateful to know that. So the last thing, we are going to do our fortune of the week. If you stuck around through this video, I'm super grateful. And I hope that this gives you something, that you take some gems from it. Don't mind my little pajamas. We're going to get our fortune of the week. I have this in an old weed jar, so don't judge me. This is faded. That's how you can tell it's old. But whatever. This is from way back in the day. I got so many fortunes in here. So let's see what our fortune of the week is. You will get what your heart desires. I love it. And some lucky numbers. Oh, there aren't any, but it teaches you how to. Oh yeah, there are. The lucky numbers are 1, 3, 7, 11, 38, and 49. So if you see those throughout the week, think of that. You will get what your heart desires. And so in order to get that, you got to be worthy. And in order to be worthy, you have to believe and know that you're worthy. So that's what I have for you today. I hope that this message helps you. Peace be upon you. Namaste.